You know what's crazy? Most people think growing fruit trees means you need a big backyard, perfect soil, and maybe half an acre to work with. But the truth is, some of the most productive fruit trees on the planet actually prefer containers. They fruit faster, they stay healthier, and you can move them around like patio furniture. Today we're covering 10 fruit trees that thrive in pots and small spaces. Stick around because number 6 will completely change how you think about growing citrus indoors, and that bonus tip at the end is worth watching the whole video for. Glad you found this channel. And if you're new here, welcome. This is the most budget-friendly gardening channel on YouTube, built around growing real food with real results, without spending a fortune doing it. I've been growing fruit in containers for years in a space most people would call a patio, and I want to share everything I've learned so you can skip the mistakes I made early on. Let's get into it. All right, let's talk about fruit trees. Number 10, dwarf apple. Most people assume apples are strictly ground-planted orchard-style trees. Here's the deal. Dwarf apple varieties like Honeycrisp Dwarf or Fuji Dwarf were practically built for containers. They top out at 4 to 6 feet, they fruit heavily, and they'll live in a 15 to 20-gallon pot for a decade with proper care. You want full sun, at least 6 hours, and well-draining potting mix with some perlite blended in to keep root rot from taking hold. Consistent watering through summer but never waterlogged. Here's the kicker. A healthy dwarf apple in a container can give you 15 to 25 pounds of fruit per season once it's established. At $2 to $3 per pound for organic apples, you're looking at $30 to $75 worth of fruit every fall. You plant it once, and it produces for 15 to 20 years. Bonus tip, keep a pot of chives nearby. Chives repel aphids which love apple trees, and they need almost zero attention to maintain. Number 9. Fig tree. If you want maximum fruit with minimum fuss, the fig tree is your answer. And the best part, figs actually prefer being slightly root-bound in containers. It pushes the plant into producing more fruit, not less. Look for Chicago hardy if you're in a cooler climate. It handles temperatures down to about 10 Fahrenheit when established. In warmer zones, brown turkey and Celeste are both incredibly reliable container performers. You need a 15 to 25-gallon container, full sun, and honestly very little else. Figs don't need much feeding, they're drought-tolerant once established, and they rarely attract serious pests. Here's what most people don't realize. A mature fig in a container can produce 2 crops per year, a small early harvest in summer and a main crop running into fall. That can easily be 20 to 40 fruits per season. Fresh figs at a farmer's market run $6 to $9 per pint. That's huge for busy people who don't want to babysit a garden every single day. Number 8. Dwarf peach. The juice running down your chin when you bite into a tree-ripened peach. That's something you simply cannot buy at a supermarket. Store peaches are picked weeks before they're ready, and everyone knows it. Growing your own changes that completely. Bonanza and Pick Z are 2 dwarf peach varieties built specifically for containers, staying under 5 feet tall. They need a 15 to 20-gallon pot, at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sun, and steady watering through the fruiting season. The first year, you wait. The second year, you start to see its promise. By year 3, you're pulling 15 to 30 peaches off a tree sitting on your patio. At $3 to $5 per pound, a solid harvest is worth $25 to $60. Pro tip, thin your fruit early. When the tiny peaches are about the size of a marble, remove every other one. The remaining fruits grow noticeably larger and sweeter. It sounds wrong, but it works every time. Number 7. Kumquat. This one sounds almost mythical when you first hear about it. A citrus tree that fits on a windowsill, produces fruit through winter when nothing else does, and where the entire fruit is edible, skin and all. That's the kumquat, and it might be the most overlooked container fruit tree out there. Nagami is the most common variety, but Meiwa is sweeter and better for fresh eating straight off the tree. Both stay compact, under 4 feet indoors, and are genuinely happy in 10 to 15-gallon containers. They need bright light, ideally a south-facing window or a grow light supplement in the darker months, and they like to dry out slightly between waterings. A healthy plant gives you 50 to 80 fruits per season through winter, when fresh citrus at the store can cost $4 to $6 per pound. It's like having a citrus tree that runs on almost no space and pays you back in January when you need it most. Number 6. Dwarf Meyer lemon. Here's what most people don't realize about Meyer lemons. They're not actually a true lemon. They're a cross between a lemon and a mandarin orange, which is why they're sweeter, less sharp, and more versatile in the kitchen than a standard lemon. The improved dwarf Meyer lemon is one of the best container fruit trees you can own. Full stop. It stays at 3 to 5 feet, blooms multiple times a year, meaning you can have fruit at almost any point in the growing season, and it's happy in a 12 to 15-gallon container with good drainage. Feed it a citrus-specific fertilizer every 6 weeks during the growing season. Keep it in your sunniest window in winter, move it outside in summer, and it will give you 20 to 40 lemons per cycle. At $1 to $2 per organic lemon at the store, the savings stack up quickly across a full year, and when it blooms, the fragrance fills an entire room. Nobody puts that on the label, but it's real mid-video engagement. Hey, quick pause. If you're getting value from this video, smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who want to grow their own food. And drop a comment below telling me which of these fruit trees you're most excited to try. I read every single comment, and I mean that. Number 5. Dwarf pomegranate. The pomegranate earns its place on a patio twice over. First as an ornamental with brilliant orange-red flowers, then as a fruit producer with jewel-toned arils that cost more per pound than almost anything else in the produce section. The Nana variety is a true dwarf that stays under 3 feet and works beautifully in a 10 to 15-gallon container. For full-sized fruit in a manageable pot, wonderful dwarf in a 20-gallon container is a serious producer. Pomegranates love heat and full sun. They're drought-tolerant, they don't need heavy feeding, and they're largely pest-resistant. Here's the kicker. Pomegranate arils sell for $5 to $8 per pound at specialty stores. A single mature container tree can yield 8 to 15 fruits per season, each weighing about half a pound. That's $20 to $60 worth of fruit from one pot. You plant it once and it produces reliably for 20 years or more. Number 4. Dwarf avocado. I know what you're thinking. Avocados in a pot? Hear me out. The Wurtz variety, also sold as Little Cado, was specifically bred for container growing. It reaches 8 to 10 feet at most in the ground, but stays at 5 to 6 feet in a large container, and it's self-pollinating, which most avocados are not. You'll need a 24-inch container minimum, think half whiskey barrel, and you need to be in a climate that stays above freezing, or be willing to bring it inside in winter. Here's the deal. Avocados run $1.50 to $3 each at the store, and a mature Wurtz in a container can produce 20 to 40 avocados in a good season. That's up to $120 worth of fruit. Growing your own also means picking them when they're actually ready, not 3 weeks early the way commercial growers do. Bonus tip: mulch the top of the container heavily with wood chips. Avocado roots are shallow and hate drying out. A 2-inch mulch layer makes a real difference in both yield and plant health. Number 3. Blueberries. Blueberries aren't technically a tree, but they deserve a spot on this list because they are exceptional container plants and they produce fruit that is genuinely expensive to buy. $4 to $7 per pint for organic at most grocery stores. Top Hat is the classic dwarf container variety, staying under 2 feet and fitting in a 5 to 7-gallon pot. For bigger harvests, Sunshine Blue in a 15 to 20-gallon container is a serious producer, giving you 4 to 7 pounds of fruit per season once mature. The one thing you have to get right: blueberries need acidic soil, pH 4.5 to 5.5. Use a mix made for blueberries or add soil acidifier. Nail this and they're easy to grow. Miss it and they'll struggle no matter what else you do right. Plant 2 varieties for cross-pollination. That alone can double your yield. And the best part? Blueberry bushes live 20 to 30 years. One of the best long-term investments in your entire garden. Number 2, dwarf banana. Nothing turns heads on a patio like a banana plant. And yes, they genuinely produce edible fruit in containers. The dwarf Cavendish, the exact same variety sold in grocery stores, stays at 4 to 6 feet in a container and is entirely manageable on a large porch or patio. You'll want a 25 to 30-gallon container, rich potting mix with plenty of compost, regular feeding with a high potassium fertilizer, and consistent moisture. They love heat and humidity, so if you're in a dry climate, misting the leaves actually helps. Here's what most people don't realize. A single banana plant doesn't just give you one bunch. It produces pups, offshoots from the base, which you can repot and grow as new plants indefinitely. One purchase becomes a lifetime of banana plants. A single bunch at the supermarket runs $1.50 to $3. Growing your own means you're getting fully ripe, spotted sweet fruit, the kind that's actually ready, not the pale green thing sitting in the produce section for 2 weeks. That's huge. Number 1. Dwarf olive tree. At number 1, we have a true garden classic that most people never consider for containers: the olive tree. Specifically, Arbequina and Picoline varieties, both compact, both self-fertile, and both extraordinarily well-suited to container life. Here's why the olive tree takes the top spot. It is essentially indestructible. It handles drought, heat, and neglect in ways that no other fruit tree can match. In a 15 to 20-gallon pot with good drainage and full sun, an olive tree will thrive for decades. And here's the kicker: premium extra virgin olive oil costs $15 to $30 per bottle. If you press your own olives, which you can absolutely do at home with a small press, you're producing something with real value. Even if you just eat them fresh or cured, table olives run $5 to $10 per pound at specialty stores. Olive trees in containers can live 50 years or more. You plant it once and it outlives most of your other garden projects combined. It's like planting a piece of the Mediterranean on your balcony and it asks almost nothing from you in return. Bonus tip, don't overwater your olive tree. It comes from a climate where summer drought is completely normal. Let the soil dry out significantly between waterings. This actually improves the flavor of the fruit by concentrating the oil.